What's going on, guys? My name is Brad from Rabid Games, and welcome to a slightly unconventional video compared to the ones that I usually do. This is going to be more of a discussion-y sort of video. I have no idea what gameplay is going in the background, but I just wanted to discuss some recent events in the gaming community and how I think it relates to a lot of the stuff that I will be covering on my channel in the near and possibly distant future. So obviously, if you have been reading the news recently, the gaming news, you'll have seen that Batman Arkham Knight has come out, and the launch on PC, the port to PC, was an absolute disaster. So much so that as of the time of recording this, it has in fact been pulled from Steam. It was that bad. Issues ranged from like a couple of stutters and frame drops to the game just flat out not working and crashing, and even so, the graphics actually looked worse on PC in a lot of cases than they did on PS4 and Xbox One. Now, this is an example of a terrible port, and we've had a few of them in the PC community over the years. GTA 4 is a prime example. It's still really poorly optimized. At least it worked. It wasn't as bad as Arkham Knight. The other Batman games in the series as well do serve to prove a lot of issues with regards to porting a game that's designed for console across to a PC release. Total Biscuit, even actually in his port report for Batman Arkham Knight, actually showed how the controller, I don't know if you go into the options screen and it goes onto the gamepad section of it, you will see that usually for most games it has an Xbox One representation of it, whereas this one went against pretty much the norm of every single PC game to date, with the exception of a few, I will admit, and used a PS4 DualShock controller, DualShock 4, which kind of shows that it has sort of lazily been ported. This is all very well, you might be thinking, but what the hell has this got to do with Kerbal Space Program and what have you? Well, in case you haven't been aware as well, if you haven't been following the gaming news from E3 as well, and if you are a Kerbal Space Program fan, Kerbal Space Program is in fact coming to PS4 in the near future. It was revealed that Squad are teaming up with Flying Tiger, a developer which are fairly unknown. They haven't made too many well-known titles. They're mostly done for mobile, but I'll get onto that in a couple of minutes. Basically, the game will be coming to PS4, and I reported on this in my KSP News episode about just over a week ago now, and there has been a sort of 50-50 split in the Kerbal Space Program community as to thoughts on this, which is rightly understandable, and I do get both sides, and that's what I'll kind of be discussing in this video. But before I actually give my personal opinions, I just want to say that Arkham Knight does actually serve as a sort of reminder that ports really do need to be good. Obviously with KSP it's going to be the opposite way around. It's not going to be ported from a console release to a PC release. It's going to be the other way around. It's going from PC to console, and it's only going to be for one console. That's what a lot of people will be forgetting, that Flying Tiger will be able to port the actual code for the game just to one console and won't have to do it for both of them. I realise that porting for both consoles isn't as hard as it actually seems, but there are still a little bit of differences between the two systems, which may make it slightly harder. So the fact that KSP is only coming to the PS4 definitely does make it a lot, not a lot easier, but definitely a lot simpler with regards to actually porting the game to the console. But like I say, Arkham Knight does serve as a prime reminder to a lot of people of just how you have to make a port work. The Batman series of games developed by Warner Brothers and Rocksteady, they are definitely games that are held within high regard with their communities. Personally, that's what I've seen from anyway. I have a lot of friends that are big fans of the Batman series. They've played all the games for Arkham Origins, Arkham City, all of them. They've played them back to front to back. And I know that they've seen this release and they've thought, Jesus, what's gone on? I mean, I know the last real launches of these games were bad, but this tops a lot of them. And it just shows how a bad port can actually dent the reputation of the game. This is the one thing that I am worried about with Kerbal Space Program coming to PlayStation 4. It's not the controls, it's not the fact that the game's going to end up being developed for console kiddies and end up getting getting a lot simpler. I don't think that's going to happen. Honestly, if you ask me, I don't think Kerbal Space Program is going to be nearly as popular on console than it is on PC, just purely because of the fact that, unlike Minecraft, it's sort of a little bit more complex, it's a little bit harder to pick up, a bit of a steeper learning curve, and so some people, particularly among the perhaps younger audience on the consoles, particularly PS4, are going to be put off by this high learning curve that KSP has. It's just a matter of fact, the game has a higher learning curve. And so the fact that it may be made simpler, I personally don't think that's really going to happen. But like I say, the only thing that I'm really worried about for the Kerbal Space Program PS4 port is the actual performance and running of the game. We already know that the PS4 is sort of like the same as a low to mid sort of spec gaming PC, and to be honest, Kerbal Space Program, I have a sort of low-end gaming computer. It's sort of low to mid-range. It's a little bit outdated by today's standards. Kerbal Space Program runs fine for the most part. We do get a couple of frame dips when we have mods, but obviously mods most likely will not be coming to PS4. Furthermore, the software of PS4 is actually optimized for gaming and gaming alone. Not with any Windows like base software and stuff like that, and Google Chrome and other programs that are perhaps not gaming related, with the exception of obviously the PlayStation Store apps and stuff like that. But they take up a lot less memory than you'd perhaps think. Obviously, like I say, the system is geared towards gaming, as it is a games console after all, and so hopefully the actual performance, in theory, shouldn't be affected too much. This is where a problem comes in though, because if Kerbal Space Program is not properly optimized by Flying Tiger Games, then we could see a repeat of the Arkham Knight. I keep wanting to say Arkham Origins, even though that was also a bad launch. The Arkham Knight saga that we've actually seen over the past couple of days. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near as the backlash is going to be anywhere near as bad if this does happen, because like I say, Arkham Knight was a big AAA game that has been released, whereas Kerbal Space Program is an indie game that's not long gotten out of early access. But there will still be backlash, and there will still be a strong backlash. Kerbal Space Program, as it is an indie game, has a bit of a cult following. Well, obviously, you guys are obviously massive fans if you're watching this, and any of the other content on my channel, and same goes for like Scott Manley's channel, Danny2462, any of the other Kerbal Space Program YouTubers that actually regularly produce content for this game. We all love this game, including me. I love it to pieces, and that's why I think that branching out to the PS4 is a good thing, and I'll get on to more about that in a moment. But I just want to say that I really, really hope that Kerbal Space Program, Flying Tiger, are able to port Kerbal Space Program as efficiently as possible over to the PS4. Like I said, Kerbal Space Program has quite a large following. I'd even go as far as to say that it does have as much, if not slightly more following, as Arkham Knight and the Arkham series of Batman games actually have. And so it would be kind of disappointing that when reaching out to this large fan base that is going to be present on the PS4, even if a couple of people on the PS4 only play it a couple of times and then say, you know what, I'm done with this, the learning curve's too high, missing out on that potential customer base with a poor port would damage the reputation of the game, I think, and personally it may prevent people from actually going and giving it a try, just giving the game a go, which is how I got into Kerbal Space Program and how a lot of you guys got into Kerbal Space Program, because obviously it's an indie game and you most likely found it either on Steam or through its own launcher or another form of site, or read about it in an article or saw a YouTube video. You've probably heard of it from some sort of source and you thought, you know what, this looks pretty cool, it's on sale, or I saw it, I've got a bit of cash going spare, I'll give it a go. And that's how you all ended up loving it. I think that's how it happened for the most part. That's certainly how it happened with me anyway, and I know a lot of my friends who actually do play Kerbal Space Program are the same. And so by having a terrible port to the console market, as I say, it could potentially taint the reputation of the game. This is where a concern arises for me, as Flying Tiger, although Squad have said that they're experienced with ports, upon doing some research they seem to specialise in mobile gaming. Now, personally, I don't think that is very good. I think they could have perhaps picked a better third-party developer to actually port it. But Flying Tiger's previous track record, shall we say, isn't all that elusive, shall we say. They haven't done any particularly large indie ports to PC, as far as I'm aware anyway, from to PC, to PS4 or Xbox One. As far as I'm aware anyway, they could have done some sort of secret projects that I don't know anything about, but at least from my research, they haven't done anything all that much. Like I say, this could be ringing a couple of alarm bells for you guys. I know it's certainly ringing a couple of alarm bells for me. Seeing as Flying Tiger's history isn't really all that illustrious. However, we haven't seen the KSP PS4 port yet, and that is the main point that I'm trying to make here, I guess, is that we haven't seen any actual gameplay yet. All this is, so far, is an announcement, and I think that the speculation, I'm personally guilty of this because I have been sort of speculating, because it is fun to speculate, and it gets a lot of hype behind the game, but in this case it has also generated quite a bit of worry among the Kerbal Space Program community that our baby, our game that we love and cherish so much, is perhaps going to be ruined by a third-party developer that perhaps knows nothing about Kerbal Space Program. However, I don't think somehow that this will be the case. I think that when Kerbal Space Program is ported to PS4, that Squad will have a lot of inputs with regards to actually porting the game to PS4. And hopefully they won't let Flying Tiger cock it up, because the benefits of having Kerbal Space Program on the console is actually quite good if you look at it, and if the release is pretty good. And this is why I am fully behind it, and this is the only little, well, I say it's little, this the only real problem that I actually have with it actually going to PS4. And this is the reason why I think it is actually a very good thing coming to PS4. Firstly, the player base will be expanded. This not only means that Squad will be making more money off of the game, which is the main reason they want to go to PS4. I mean, they are a business, you can't exactly blame them for that. They want to make more money, and they want to expand their fan base over to PS4, so they have a monopoly of systems that they are building the game for. What this does, though, to a certain extent, is also inspire more people in the STEM region. If you think about consoles, they have usually a younger demographic. Some people like to call them console kiddies, but there are actually a lot of mature people around my sort of age. Believe it or not, there are people my age, 16, that are actually mature. I'm not included in that, but there are people that are actually mature and my age that may pick up Kerbal Space Program for the first time on PS4 because maybe they don't have the money for a large gaming PC or even a mid-range sort of gaming PC, and they may find that they like a challenge. And so whereas a lot of people on PS4 may be put off by the learning curve of Kerbal Space Program, some people, particularly younger people on the console, may see it as a challenge, and so they will learn to cope with that learning curve and eventually get better with the game and actually start to find it quite fun. And so they'll end up going the way that a lot of us with Kerbal Space Program went, and looking to emulate real life concepts, and so become more invested in like orbital mechanics and just space and engineering stuff in general, and so may be inspired to maybe take that as a career path, which would strengthen the STEM sector worldwide, because of course Kerbal Space Program is actually distributed across the world as a game. And so I think that this would be a brilliant thing that could extend perhaps just beyond the game in general. And so there you have it. That's pretty much all of my opinions on the PS4 version of KSP at the moment. Like I say, I think it's most important to remember at the moment that this is just an announcement. We haven't seen any gameplay whatsoever yet of this game. We haven't seen any indication whatsoever of just how this game is going to perform in the real world once it's released into the wild. And I'm going to personally reserve any sort of judgment on Flying Tiger and Squad's capability to actually successfully port this game until it's actually been released and we can actually see how the game actually runs on PS4, and as well as the actual gameplay being revealed before I make any judgment as to whether it's been watered down compared to the PC version. I think that that is probably probably the most reliable thing to do. Like I say, for the most part, I think that Kerbal Space Program coming to the PS4 is a very good thing, as it expands the player base, and it can get some more people who are perhaps just as good at Kerbal Space Program as people on the PC, to make even more awesome creations, which is only a good thing for the KSP community. Like I say, the only real main problem with it is Flying Tiger's lack of credibility, shall we say, but hopefully Squad will be able to pull this thing off and help Flying Tiger out as much as possible. That's if they need any help. And hopefully the port for KSP PS4 will not be a repeat of Arkham Knight on PC. That was basically what I just wanted to make this video about today, guys. Sorry if it's perhaps gone on a little bit longer than I was expecting. This is already about 15.5 minutes long, and I didn't mean it to be this long at all, but I just thought it was a nice sort of cautionary tale for Squad and Flying Tiger for making this port, and I just thought it would be a little bit of a change in pacing for the video for you guys, because obviously I have been making quite a smorgasbord of different types of videos over the past couple of weeks or so, but just because I've been leaving school and everything, haven't really had all that much time because I've been doing stuff with friends, and plus I've been feeling a little demotivated recently to make videos. Just sort of post-exam blues, I guess, but I'm back now, and hopefully I should be making videos as often as I possibly can for you guys. Obviously KSP News every Sunday or Monday, depending on when it's actually uploaded as well. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. If you did make it to the end of this video, then well done you, because I've just been rambling on for about over 16 minutes now, and you've made it to the end. So congratulations to you there. Give yourselves a little pat on the back. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys. Like I say, personally, I'm holding off actual gameplay of KSP PS4 and actually to wait until the release to see just how well it actually runs. But I have every faith that Squad will be able to pull off a port. Like I say though, Arkham Knight, definitely a cautionary tale, not just to Squad, but for all publishers who are waiting to port their games to PC or from PC to console. It doesn't matter. Like I say, guys, my name has been Bradders, and as always, this is Bradders signing off. Peace out.